Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer, here with Mike Gallagher for a three-game slate. A bunch of Game 5s on tap tonight. Atlanta looking to stay alive. Memphis, Minnesota, New Orleans, and Phoenix trying to get that 3-2 edge in their series. Mike, how are you on this fine Tuesday?
Doing great. Yeah, got a little hike in. Didn't fix my garbage disposal yet, which was the big story yesterday. So hopefully do that today. But only got 2 games tomorrow. Probably both going to get closed out. Could be looking at a light Friday. Could be looking at a light Thursday. We're almost to round 2. Hopefully we get to our 20K for the props. But it's looking like the first round's getting close here. You and I are going to go full Ernie Banks and do this show, and then we're going for the pod to talk more 10,000-foot view to talk about the overall championship stuff.
Yeah. So that pod, look for that out probably late tonight or tomorrow morning would be my guess. Is when we'll get that out. But yeah, I need a lighter end of the week. I'm moving on Friday, so I'm hoping to have a little bit of a lighter Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That would be ideal for me. I would have planned this move perfectly if that is the case.
Well done.
But I also am recovering from one of those stomach bugs. There's like 24, 48-hour stomach bugs that I caught. Instead of celebrating Greek Easter with my girlfriend's family, the whole family was sick. It was fantastic.
My God.
So,
was it something you guys ate? It was something you guys ate?
No. I don't think so. because everybody got sick, and we had all eaten different things before we had gotten sick. Wow. So I think it was the little kiddos had been first week at daycare without masks and whatnot. So I think they were all trading the germies back and forth.
No Kevin Love Seabass, and what was it? I'm a Jets fan. I can't remember the name. What he had that threw him off.
So in the recovery mode, I'm probable or available, as the Sixers would list you, for the shows remain today. But let's get into the injuries today. As always, it wouldn't be an Atlanta game without Bogdanovic questionable. So he's on the injury report. So is Clint Capella. Any concerns on limitations or availability tonight for these two?
Oh yeah, again, this is new. We saw Bogdan get listed with an ankle. This is the same knee that is the perpetual questionable tag. He did get dinged up. We saw him limp around. He was asked about it. Nate McMillan was after the game, and he kind of hinted that he wasn't really right. So he's probably going to play, but I've got some concerns about how this knee holds up, because McMillan talked about this knee for months, despite getting that constant Q tag. We've only missed one game with that Q tag. Shout out to Fan. But I think Capella's good to go. It's just the same knee thing that they're listing him with. He should be fine. He didn't look 100% right to me. I thought he was a little bit slow. And also worth noting, Trae Young hurt his foot, and he's not healthy either, which I think is kind of a big edge. And I'm actually pretty highly on Miami here. I think it's blowout city. I think Miami has completely taken Trae away from this ball game. His pick and roll game is done. I think Miami completely waxes the Hawks today.
To be fair, you've been on Miami every single game, and it's been largely the right call. But there's no change in status on you being on Miami.
Nope.
The real news is if you were on Atlanta or Memphis or I guess the Pels, that would all be news. I think at this point.
Yeah.
You're a man of conviction. Which
I am. Yeah. Well, I changed my opinion on some stuff, but I just Miami's just so put together to stop primary option like that. I think they're really equipped to stop that. When they get to kind of in the next round and they see kind of different stuff, I think.
We'll talk more about that on the free podcast, because I have a lot of thoughts there as well.
Yeah.
On the Miami side of the equation, questionable tags for them with PJ Tucker and Caleb Martin. We've seen Miami, similar to the Hawks in these questionable tags. Mostly guys are playing through these throughout the course of the second half of the season. I would expect that to be the case tonight, but do you have any concerns here for either Caleb or PJ?
Zero. This is the same thing we've been hearing about. No Kyle Lowry, obviously. So definitely see Gabe Vincent start. We see Max Strus really pick up, because Strus is no longer competing with Gabe Vincent for wing minutes now. So Strus is completely iced out Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson had 2 front court touches the last game. Completely crazy for how much they used to run that dribble handoff stuff.
The interesting thing there too was they brought Victor Oladipo back into the mix. Last game. It looked like it was not planned. Because the substitution patterns. I did not get to watch any of this game. I was completely zonked out like flu-like symptoms. But he came in basically with like 7 minutes left in the second quarter, which is a very strange rotation if it was planned. So it almost felt like emergency to me. Was that the case, or do you think that was a planned rotation for Oladipo?
No, I think it was kind of an emergency thing. I think they kind of had the defense going. So I thought that was like, okay, let's lean into defense. Bullshit called him a two-way player after the game. I do not like Oladipo because he's cost me some money on some previous Miami games I've had. But I would expect to see Oladipo again. I think they really like his ball pressure, and they used him on Trey a little bit. So I think it makes sense for him to be in the rotation again today.
Yeah, I definitely, and they are just not. The challenge with Oladipo before and towards the end of the regular season was that they were having to play him kind of like a little bit off ball. And because when you have Lowry or Jimmy out there, right, like unless you're having both of those guys off the floor and then Oladipo, which doesn't really make sense if you have Lowry and Jimmy available because they're two of your better players, you end up having like Oladipo off ball, and he's not a particularly great player off ball because he's not an efficient shooter. So you get him in these lineups where you can play a little bit more on ball, and you see there they can play Gabe Vincent off ball in those lineups.
Yep.
And it makes a little bit more sense to use him like that. He did have a lot of overlap with Jimmy there that was effective. But I think this is also the ability, like you said, to defend and just like completely lock down stuff with the athletic wing defenders. So I think this is probably a decent spot for Oladipo to see those minutes continue to pick up.
Yeah, and I'll add on the defensive side. The Hawks were number 1 and number 2 in half-court rating and offensive rating overall. They have been below 30th in this series in both categories, worse than the Pistons. It's just they are just completely clamping them. And,
there is not a place
good.
to hide for the Atlanta offense when it's PJ Tucker, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, like all these different guys, Gabe Vincent. They're dogs in terms of defending, and all the switch outs onto Trey are just getting him into traps or one-on-one situations that he doesn't have an advantage on. So the strength of Miami certainly cutting off the head of the snake in this one. The other two games on the slate, Minnesota has nobody listed on their injury report. Memphis has Santi Aldama and Killian Tilly both out. But you mentioned that John Morant is battling injury issues as well. Do you want to elaborate on those?
Yeah, John Morant for the first time said he is playing through injury, and not just the time we saw him go to the locker room. He's mentioning other stuff. So we've seen him not be himself. Obviously, it's kind of a couple things. One, I mean, they are running aggressive defensive coverages on him, and he is not getting downhill. He is not getting clean looks at the basket. It's their whole game plan is taking away John Morant. Chris Finch was asked about that after the game, saying like, "Oh, Desmond Bane. I mean, he killed them, 34 points." And he basically said, "Okay, I don't care." His only complaint was he was a little bit upset how his guys didn't cover like the deep threes, like the 27 footers that he was bombing away on. But they're fully going to just shut down Ja. I think we'll talk more about it later. But he's banged up, and I'm nibbling at taking the Wolves because I don't want to take a big stand because I don't want to stress out too much because betting on the Wolves is like not for the faint of heart. It's really stressful stuff. But I think the Wolves have a chance here in Memphis. Yeah,
certainly. I mean, these games have been so up and down in terms of games of extended runs from both teams, right, throughout the series. So, who's going to show up and have those long standing runs and hold on to them is anybody's guess. The Wolves have certainly played from ahead quite a bit in the series. Wouldn't be surprised to see it happen again tonight. The last game on the docket, New Orleans and Phoenix. Devin Booker was out getting shots up, but still listed as out. He's still, multiple weeks away. Zion listed as out for New Orleans, but no other real changes here. Are there any injury situations or tidbits or notes you've picked up from press conferences on either of these two teams?
Yeah, Chris Paul has a hand injury, and that could be affecting him. We saw him not shoot 4 points from him as Jose Alvarado and Herb just put the clamps on Chris Paul like we haven't seen really in quite some time. Just marvelous defense and a really good game plan to pick him up full court and not going to let him set that Spain pick and roll. They love to run into the 3-point line and at the foul line for the second pick. But, they'll make a count of that. We'll talk more about it on the show, but not overly concerned about that injury. And mostly the other guys are pretty healthy here too. Yeah,
it's a shooting hand, right hand, the injury that we're talking about. Yeah. It's it'll be interesting to see. I mean, man, Ayton's been so good in the series and still hasn't really moved the needle a ton. So
Well, the
Pels
big thing is they're just
really
missing threes. That's been the big commonality here. Is they got to hit their threes, man. That's really been everything. And the Pels aren't making a lot either, but the Pels allow a lot. Like we talk about this all season. You gotta shoot your threes. You gotta make them against the Pelicans, and you can really dominate.
And the stats I saw, I think this was after Game 4. Gosh, and I hate not giving credit. I forget the Twitter account that posted it, but it was basically a breakdown of wide open, like I don't know. I guess contested is the next layer. There's one layer in between wide open and contested, like semi-contested or something like that.
Yeah.
Basically, the two
4 to 6 foot.
Yeah, 4 to 6 foot, right? And basically, New Orleans was shooting they were shooting the same on wide open, which both teams were shooting poorly. And then Phoenix was shooting poorly on 4 to 6 feet. New Orleans was shooting like 40%, and then on contested, New Orleans was shooting like 45%, and Phoenix was shooting poorly. So basically, the difference in the series has been New Orleans making tough threes, which you would think would regress over time. But look, if you're a Phoenix Suns fan or player or personnel member, you don't have time. It's 2 more games and you're gone. So we'll see a big game tonight, Game 5 in Phoenix.
Yep.
So, all right, that'll do it for today's Established Run NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. Mike and I will be back behind the paywall at 5 o'clock Eastern tonight, breaking down this 3-game slate. We will be in front of the paywall with Established Run's NBA Premium, or NBA podcast, not premium, in front of the paywall.
It's premium. It's not price. It's not priced as a premium.
It's premium. It's just free. With all it takes, breaking down what we've seen so far in the series that have closed out. We'll RIP the Brooklyn Nets season on there. We'll get into this Philly-Toronto series, which I have tons of takes on that I cannot wait to fire off. It's basically the only thing that's getting me through this flu, is being able to fire off spicy takes on Philadelphia basketball. So look for that out late tonight or early tomorrow morning. Continue to support us by subscribing to this YouTube page. You'll get notifications whenever we go live. Also, consider hitting, pressing, or smashing that like button to circulate this content so we can continue producing this free content for you all out there. We'll continue going through the rest of this week, and then I'll be reanalyzing kind of views and different things like that to see where we're at in terms of producing this content, because we want to make sure it's getting to a meaningful number of people if we're going to keep doing it, and the NBA injury reports are going to get smaller and smaller. So be well, everybody. Enjoy the games tonight. And we'll see you again tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern for another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. Take care, everybody.